On our silver anniversary, my husband handed me an envelope instead of a gift. 5 years is long enough, he declared into the microphone, with every guest looking on. I want someone younger now. You need to be out of the condo by tomorrow. He said it like a business memo. Flat, final, public. He also seemed to forget one tiny detail. My parents had bought that condo and put it in my name. Across the room, his mother, Celeste Price, watched with that polished, chilly smile she wore to funerals and fundraisers alike. I stood, took the mic from his hand, and said something that froze the smugness right off his face. But to understand that moment, you need to hear what led to it. A few nights earlier, at 3:00 a.m., Naomi Sterling, woke to whispers from the hall. Darren was on the phone, voice bright with a kind of giddy urgency he never used with me. We have to do this, right? He insisted. She won't suspect a thing. Of course not, son, Celeste murmured. Leave it to me. I lay still, muscles tight, breathing slow. What thing? And why now, just weeks before our 25th? When he slipped back into bed, his body was rigid, a coiled wire. At dawn, he was suddenly tender, almost boyish, kissing my cheek, smelling like a department store cologne he'd never owned. Naomi, my love, he said too brightly. Let's pick the restaurant for our anniversary. I want it to be perfect. In 25 years, Darren had never planned a party. He criticized, he didn't curate. So I watched him glide out the door, and when his phone pinged on the nightstand, my eyes flicked to the screen call S at 11:00 a.m. I watered the window plants and asked, casually, who's ass? For a split second, panic flashed across his face. Then his features rearranged themselves. Sanchez. A colleague from Seattle, work thing, a lie. Darren's left eyelid twitched when he lied, always had. When the door shut behind him, I stared out at the gray October sky over Georgetown. We had married for love right out of college. Me an accounting prodigy with numbers in my bones, him the up-and-coming manager chasing titles and polished shoes. We'd wanted a noisy home and sticky toddler hands on the glass. The doctors found nothing wrong, but the miracle never came. Celeste's barbed comments about grandchildren carved lines where warmth should have been. Over time, we made peace with childlessness, poured energy into travel and work. Something important, though, quietly slipped between us and never found its way back. A polite knock broke my thoughts. Celeste let herself in, wrapped in expensive perfume and a frostbitten smile. Naomi, dear, she said, stepping past me without waiting. Are you arranging everything for the celebration? Darren wants a restaurant, I replied. Good, she chirped. A respectable venue shows the importance of the date. Her gaze drifted over our living room, measuring it, finding it lacking. She did that, wordlessly confirming her mansion had higher ceilings, better taste, more of everything. By the way, she added, settling into an armchair, I've been thinking about the future. Darren is 53, and, well, we don't have grandchildren. Wouldn't it be wise to prepare a will for the grandchildren? I set my teacup down. We don't have children, Celeste. My nephews. Then she waved. Good boys. Studying, working. If no paperwork exists, the government takes everything. There it was. The subtext stomped around like an elephant. And the condo deeds. She asked lightly, as if requesting a recipe. Where do you keep them? In the safe, I said, my voice even. Why? Oh, you never know. Smile sipped needle. When she left, the apartment felt newly hollow. The 3 a.m. call, Darren's sudden gallantry, Celeste fishing for titles and wills. A picture was forming, and I hated the composition. I opened Darren's laptop. He'd always used the same simple password. The date we met. Not anymore. My stomach dipped. I tried his birthday. Nothing. Celeste's. No, then I keyed in our wedding date. In reverse. The desktop bloomed. History told the rest. How to divorce with shared assets. Spousal rights in property division. How to keep the condo in a divorce. Legal tricks for dividing assets. 2 weeks' worth of searches. I scrolled until my hands shook. The phone rang. Candace, my friend. Naomi, you won't believe this. I saw Darren at Tyson's Galleria, at a jeweler, with a young blonde. They were looking at rings. What did she look like? I asked, oddly calm. 30-ish, blondie, immaculate. Pricey coat. Pretty, plastic, kind of. I'm fine, I lied. That evening Darren floated in with roses and chocolates. For my one and only, he said, pressing a kiss to my mouth, sweet words wrapped around a rotten core. We should talk, I told him. About what? He flicked on the TV. His shield. Let's just enjoy this week, okay? We'll talk after the party. Which meant the damage would be done at the party. So I smiled and said, after the party. But inside something cold and clean clicked into place. I would not be the rabbit in their snare. He didn't know I had an ace the size of a lifeboat. The next morning, his phone chimed on the counter. He'd left it behind. The landline recorded a voicemail before I could reach it. TD, it's Mom. I spoke to Mr. Hayes. Everything can be arranged. The important thing is she doesn't suspect anything until the last moment. Call me. Hayes. The supposedly innocent S from Seattle had a last name and a specialty. I unlocked Darren's phone after 3 failed guesses with a hunch that felt absurd until it worked. 0308, International Women's Day. The mistress's birthday, apparently. The messages were a script of Betrayal. Sierra. After the anniversary, right? I'm tired of hiding. Darren. Everything's on schedule. The condo will be ours. Mom already set things in motion. Naomi knows nothing. Hayes says if we play it right, she'll only get half. I'll keep the condo. Then more, uglier Darren. Are you sure the title's in both names? Celeste. I saw the copies. But Hayes says there are ways. She'll sign the waiver. And if she won't sign, she will. After what we're going to do to her at the party, she'll have no choice. My hands went numb. They weren't just leaving. They were staging a spectacle to break me into signing away my home. I forwarded everything to my phone, put his back exactly where I found it, and called the one person who could turn the tide. Aisha Cole, my college friend turned family attorney. Naomi, she answered, warm as always. It's been a minute. Can we meet today? I asked, keeping my voice steady. I need counsel. At 6, her hug steadied me. I told her everything: the 3 a.m. whispers, Celeste's fishing expedition, the web searches, the jeweler at Tyson's, the texts. Sierra Hayes. The plan to ambush me during my own anniversary. This is serious. Aisha said, legal mind already clicking. But you're not cornered. You came early enough. She asked about assets. The condo. Bought in 2005. Both names on the current title. Equal shares on paper. Any proof of origin. Gifts. Premarital contribution. My parents paid for it. Entirely. Aisha nodded. That matters. A lot. If the gift was to you alone and we can document it. A relief pried a small crack in my chest. 3 things, she said, crisp and kind at once. 1. Gather evidence, screenshots, photos, recordings if legal where you are. 2. Secure your finances. Move half of your joint cash to a personal account. 3. Be ice. Don't tip your hand. Let them think you're still asleep. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in days. Thank you. Friends don't invoice, she smiled. Keep me updated. I went home to find Darren inspecting his reflection in the entry mirror. You look a little tired, he announced, not meeting my eyes. 50 isn't the end, you know. A gym membership, a dermatologist, maybe a little touch-up. I saw Candace's daughter, 30 and polished. You could try. He was laying the groundwork. I'd let myself go. Therefore, anything he did next was justified. I answered with a pleasant nothing, and he relaxed. Fox satisfied, the henhouse slept. When the shower roared, I opened our online banking. $30,000 had vanished in a month. Consultations, gifts, miscellaneous. They were funding my humiliation with my own savings. I laughed, sharp, humorless, then remembered the letter that had landed on our doormat the week before. Aunt Josephine, My father's older sister in Germany had died without spouse or children. She left everything to me, a condo in Munich valued at 800,000, a bank account with roughly 570,000, and a Miami Beach investment condo. Over 3 million in total. I had planned to tell Darren on our anniversary. A surprise. Life had adjusted the script. That money would not save my marriage, it would save me. Monday I visited Mr. Perry, the real estate attorney who'd closed our condo 15 years ago. "Mrs. Sterling," he said, flipping through an old paper file. "M Street. Good unit, fine building. Mr. Perry, I need absolute discretion," I said. "Do your records show who received my parents' gift funds?" He adjusted his glasses. "Unusual case, as I recall. Ah, here it is. The funds came directly from your parents. Deed of gift lists you as sole recipient. Your husband was added 2 months later." A warmth surged through me. "So legally it's a separate pre-marital asset." "Formally, yes," he said, "unless he can prove substantial improvements paid from marital funds." "He can't," I said evenly. "He never spent a dime on renovations. I can prepare a certified statement." He slid a notepad closer. "Come back tomorrow." When I stepped onto the sidewalk, the air felt different, like oxygen after weeks underwater. Back home, a courier delivered the final German probate. Numbers, stamps, signatures. Munich, Miami cash, Independence. Darren called with syrup in his voice. "Naomi, let's make this anniversary big. Colleagues, friends, the works." I booked the Watergate Ballroom. 100 guests. "Isn't that expensive?" I asked. "The money's there," he snapped. "The impression is what matters. For him, for her, for the theater." That afternoon, Celeste arrived with an envelope. "From me to you," she said, eyes bright. A card slid out. "Hayes and Associates, Divorce and Property Law. A complimentary consultation," she added sweetly. "Just in case." "Thoughtful," I said, and set it aside like a venomous insect in a glass. That night, Darren came home perfumed with something expensive and unfamiliar. "Elevator," he lied smoothly. "A neighbor's scent must have rubbed off." He rehearsed a speech in his study. Voice muffled through the door. "People change. What seemed right at 20 was a mistake." I stood in the hallway and let the words turn to steel. At 2 a.m., he whispered into his phone again. Celeste's hissing caution, his triumphant certainty. "After the toast, she won't dare a scene. Hayes will handle the paperwork at home." Morning brought action. I opened a personal account and moved half our joint cash. If he wanted to bankroll Sierra, he'd do it from his half. I picked up Mr. Perry's statement on the condo's origin. I briefed my boss, Mr. Budrow, that I might hit rough water. "You're the best controller we've had in 15 years, he said. "Whatever happens, I've got you." That evening, while Darren met partners, I spread my new life on the dining table: Miami papers, Munich deeds, bank statements, Mr. Perry's certified letter. If the party became a stage, I would not be the victim written into their script. The next morning, the German consulate finalized account access, the Miami title transferred into my name. I opened a Euro account, prepared the wire. Independence ceased to be theoretical and turned real enough to grip. Then I walked into the Watergate to confirm arrangements and ran straight into Sierra, 30-ish, glossy, draped in wealth she hadn't earned, gushing into her phone. "Dee, it's gorgeous," she cooed, eyes shining. "The ballroom is massive. After your speech, she'll finally understand, and soon we'll be in our big condo. I love you." She hung up, turned, and looked straight through me. "Do you know where the manager is?" I asked, neutral. "No idea," she said, bored. "I don't work here." I smiled. "Tomorrow, you'll learn what work looks like." The manager walked me through the plan. Mr. Price spared no expense. 45,000. He insisted on a central mic so everyone can hear the toast. "Of course he did," I said softly. That night, Celeste patted Darren's shoulder like a coach before a game. "Your speech will be a triumph. Everyone will see you made the right decision." From the kitchen doorway, I watched them glow with certainty. In our bedroom, I slipped my documents into a slim folder and slid it into my purse. Whatever was coming, I was ready. The Watergate ballroom gleamed, crystal chandeliers, white roses, the hush of expensive anticipation. 100 guests in tuxedos and satin-watched waiters pour champagne. Darren shook hands at the door, jaw tight with excitement and misnamed confidence. Celeste floated beside him, luminous with approval. At the far wall, Sierra sparkled like a new coin, introduced to everyone as his marketing assistant, as if a title could launder a secret. "Naomi, you look breathtaking," said Marina from my office, squeezing my hand. 25 years, it's so inspiring. "Yes," I said, and my smile felt like glass. "It is illuminating." Darren clinked his flute with a spoon. Voices softened. The master of ceremonies announced. "A few words from the man of the hour, Mr. Darren Price." He stood in the spotlight, shoulders squared, the microphone a scepter. "Friends," he began, voice velveted for the audience, "tonight we honor the passage of time. 25 years beside one person, a quarter-century of learning, a murmur of polite approval. A few alls. I've reflected deeply," he went on, jaw tightening, "about who we were and who we've become. People change. What felt right at 20 can be misjudged at 50. A ripple passed through the room. Uncertainty, then discomfort. He didn't look at me. He looked over me. "I've decided to live honestly. Naomi and I are different people. We want different futures. So I'm asking for a divorce." Forks froze mid-air, someone coughed. A glass chimed against a plate and cracked. "And," he added, courage barnacled by cruelty, "I expect a fair division. Naomi will leave the condo so we can both move forward." His eyes slid toward Sierra with a flash of possession he couldn't hide. "It's time for a new chapter." My heart didn't race. It stepped aside and let a colder organ take command. I rose, smoothed my navy dress, and laid a steady hand on the microphone. "Thank you, Darren," I said softly. "Clarity is a gift." A hush fell that felt like a held breath. "You're right about one thing," I said, turning to the room. "The lies should end. So here's the truth." I lifted the slim folder from my purse and, with care, placed Mr. Perry's certified letter atop the podium. "This document confirms our M Street condo was purchased with funds gifted to me alone by my parents. My husband's name was added months later. Legally, it's my separate property, not marital, not divisible, not available." The room tilted, gasps, whispered, "Oh my gods." Darren took a small step back, and the microphone caught the scrape of his shoe. "And because we're doing honesty," I continued, gaze steady, "I also know about Sierra, about Mr. Hayes over there." Head swiveled toward the back table where the lawyer tried to melt into damask. "Hand about the plan to engineer a scene to pressure me into signing a waiver." "Naomi," Darren hissed. "I'll finish quickly," I said, voice light. 3 weeks ago I received an inheritance from my aunt in Germany. A condo in Munich, an investment condo in Miami Beach, and over $1 million in cash. I'm comfortable, I'm protected, and I'm not going anywhere I don't choose to go. I tucked the consular stamps and bank statements back into the folder with the neatness of a ledger closing. Silence struck like a bell. Even the band had stopped breathing. "A's for tonight's production," I added. Darren spent $45,000 of our joint savings to stage this announcement. I won't be invoicing him for the public relations cleanup. Lauder broke through the shock, short, incredulous, then rolling. It wasn't unkind, but it wasn't with him. I set the microphone down like a gavel. "Friends, I'm sorry your evening turned into a courtroom. Consider it a masterclass in why due diligence matters." I stepped away from the dais. Behind me, the ballroom erupted. Not in applause, but in opinion. "Have you lost your mind?" Mr. Boudreau, Darren's CEO, demanded, marching forward. "Humiliating your wife in public." Darren flailed for footing. "This is my personal life." "You made it company theater," Boudreau snapped. "We'll discuss your position at 9 a.m. Monday. Or don't bother coming." At the side wall, Sierra, no longer stainless, gripped her clutch. "Dee?" she whispered harshly. "What does she mean, her condo? You promised." "Not here," he muttered, the first sweat darkening his collar. "Hair is exactly right," she said, voice rising. "You told me we'd live there by New Year's." "You bought me jewelry with her money." Heads turned, phones lifted. "Stop," Darren begged. "And you took out loans." Sierra barreled on, fury cracking her polish. 40, some thousand in your name because you said she'd never know." A visible shiver passed through the guests. Even Celeste wobbled. "Loans," she barked, rounding on her son. "You said we were careful." Darren's mouth opened and closed. The story had escaped his pen. Across the floor, Marina slid to my side. "You okay?" "I'm better than okay," I said, and realized it was true. Celeste tried for dignity, failed, and went for blame. "This is your fault," she snapped at Sierra. "You baited my son. My fault." Sierra laughed without humor. "He hunted me like a job opening." "My wife is Knave," he said. "She'll sign anything. He is not a mastermind, Mrs. Price. He's a gambler." "Enough," Darren shouted, voice cracking. "Stop filming." Everyone stopped. A murmured phrase trended in real time, fast silver speechless. I slipped toward the exit. "On my way, Mr." Boudreaux intercepted me. "Naomi," he said, softer now, "for what it's worth. You handled that with more composure than most heads of finance I've met." "Thank you," I said. "And for the record, tomorrow I'll be filing." "Do it," he said. "If you need a reference, you have one." By the doors. Aunt Clarice caught my hands. "You don't need to stay and watch him drown," she murmured. "I won't," I said, and walked into the cool night. Through the glass, I saw the dominoes finish their fall, guests confronting. Celeste flinging her pearls of outrage. Sierra making for the coat, check with her dignity, in splinters. Darren shrinking into the very suit he'd chosen to look larger. The microphone lay where I'd left it, quiet, decisive. Outside, the city hummed. A taxi idled like a promise. I exhaled, long and even. Freedom didn't thunder, it clicked, clean as a new key turning in a lock. By the time I reached home that night, the ballroom chaos was already online. Someone had uploaded a video titled, "The Silver Anniversary Divorce," and it was spreading faster than gossip at brunch. Within hours, thousands of comments poured in, half in disbelief, half in applause. The next morning, Darren's face looked 10 years older. The arrogance had drained, leaving gray exhaustion. His phone buzzed non-stop, and each call left him more deflated than the last. His company's board had seen the video. By the end of the week, his boss, Mr. Boudreaux, called him in. "Darren, I can't keep you here after that spectacle," he said bluntly. "We represent a global firm. Our executives can't be trending for humiliating their wives on camera." "But I'm good at my job," Darren pleaded. "Maybe." Boudreaux replied coldly, "But your reputation is now our liability." The next day, Darren Price, once a man of tailored suits and imported pens, was unemployed. Meanwhile, Celeste's life collapsed with his. The mansion she'd bragged about for decades had to be sold to cover the debts Darren had quietly taken. They moved into a cramped one-bedroom apartment on the city's edge. The walls were cracked, the carpet smelled of dust and regret. "Don't you wish you had listened to me?" Celeste said one night, her voice trembling. "It's too late, Mom?" Darren murmured, staring at the stack of unpaid bills. "Too late for regrets." And Sierra. She landed on her feet, at least for now. 2 months after the fiasco, she married a 50-year-old restaurateur with deep pockets and shallow perception. Her wedding photos were lavish. Diamonds, champagne, gold. The caption read, "Finally found real love. For new beginnings, for true happiness." Darren saw it online while driving his second-hand Toyota. He laughed, a low, bitter sound. She'd gotten her luxury condo after all, just not from him. Naomi's world, on the other hand, bloomed. She moved into the Miami Beach condo her aunt had left her. A wide, sunlit apartment with sweeping ocean views and soft white curtains that danced in the breeze. She kept the decor simple warm wood, pale linen. Books everywhere. She didn't want to return to corporate life. For the first time in decades, she asked herself what she truly wanted. And the answer was stories. So she used a portion of her inheritance to open a small publishing house, specializing in translations of European literature. It was called Sterling Pages, and within months, her first titles were on bookstore shelves. Slim paperbacks with elegant fonts and heartfelt introductions written by Naomi herself. When she handed in her resignation to Mr. Budrow, he tried to talk her out of it. "Naomi, are you sure? You're the best controller we've ever had." "Thank you," she said with a soft smile. "But I've spent years controlling numbers. Now I want to shape words." "I admire that," he said. "You know, after everything that happened, half the women in the office talk about you like you're a legend." Naomi laughed quietly. "I'm not a legend. I just stopped being afraid." Her publishing house grew. She hired young translators, editors, and designers, mostly women rebuilding their lives after breakups or layoffs. Together, they created something beautiful and lasting. Each time she saw a reader holding one of their books, her heart felt whole. One evening, as the sun dipped into the sea, Aisha visited her. "You look radiant," Aisha said, sipping tea on the balcony. "Do you feel avenged?" Naomi smiled. "No, I feel free. Vengeance is noisy. Freedom is quiet." They sat watching the horizon burn gold. "Do you regret those 25 years?" Aisha asked. "Not at all," Naomi replied. "They taught me the most important thing of all. Never let anyone else write your ending." A year later, a letter arrived. The handwriting was shaky familiar. "Naomi, I don't expect forgiveness. I just want to say I understand now. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I destroyed what I had out of greed and pride. Be happy. Darren." Naomi folded the letter neatly and placed it in a drawer beside her passport and spare keys. Things once important, now just remnants of another life. That night, she stood on the balcony, the sound of waves filling the silence. The city glittered behind her, the ocean breathed below. She closed her eyes, inhaled salt and freedom, and whispered to no one. "Everything changed, and I finally did too." She lifted her mug of coffee toward the stars, as if toasting the life that almost ended, but didn't. The truth had set her free.